Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another Hot Toys 1/6 scale Star Wars Revenge of the Sith figure unboxing and review. Today, we're taking a look at Papa Palps himself, Darth Sidious. Now, I got mine at a discount from Pop Collectibles. I've popped a link to their site in the description, along with the discount code Justin's Collection, for 5% off your order if you decide to buy from them. As always, do your own research, make sure you're comfortable before buying. If you're heading down to the description, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button, so you're notified as soon as brand new Star Wars prequel content goes live. It's weird, I almost feel a little bit bad for this Darth Sidious figure, because before they'd announced the Red Robes one, this was going to be the ultimate Episode 3 Darth Sidious for a lot of collectors. But then they announced the Red Robes one. You can display him as Chancellor Palptaine or Darth Sidious, and he comes with two head sculpts, one of which, the scarred one, looks even better than the head sculpt that this piece has. So it's almost like the weird, awkward middle child, and I don't know how to feel about it. I'm still going to review it fairly as always. Clearly, I have a soft spot for this look for Palps, otherwise I wouldn't have picked this up. I'm curious to hear y'all's thoughts. Did you cancel your orders for this piece when that new one was announced? Let me know down in the comments. As for the box art, image of the figure himself up front, metallic foil Star Wars logo, glossy wraparound banner, done in the Revenge of the Sith style. Orange for the text and the logos and whatnot. Then a Jedi starfighter behind Palps, but it's a pretty wide shot of him, so you can't really see that whole starfighter. This video is brought to you by Justin's Collection.shop, the home of the figure first aid kit, as well as other accessories to help your collection be the best it can be. The first aid kit contains multiple tools to help you with maintenance, styling rooted hair, and much more. We also sell crotch grabbers, soft rubber tips to prevent damage, and they're compatible with most modern Hot Toys base molds. Acrylic risers come in multi-packs, they're optically clear, thick and sturdy, and stackable. Check out the link to Justin's Collection.shop in the description. I reckon if instead of going with Jedi starfighters on the banner, they'd have gone with the Venator or the Malevolence, that would have worked a little bit better. On the side of the box, another starfighter tucked behind Palps, and I'm digging this blue glow they've digitally painted onto the image as though the lightning is casting that glow onto his outfit. And then around the back, all of the boring stuff, warnings, legal information, and their store locations. Hang on a second, is anyone else getting some deja vu? This image is the same picture that we just looked at of Palpatine on the side of the box on the wraparound banner. I despise it when they reuse assets. There's already so little artwork on Star Wars figure boxes, and yet they still see fit to reuse imagery. Hot Toys, just take some more pictures for crying out loud. Anyway, I like the way it looks on the slip cover, and they've extended the lightning with some faux lightning. Plus, we've got the Senate chairs hovering above Palps. First in-hand impressions for the figure himself. The outfit is more saturated than I was expecting. The brown robes, we'll touch on that later. But the head sculpt is looking freaking mean as. It's scary, it's creepy, perfect for Darth Sidious. What we're going to do now is get all of his accessories laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything he comes with. Starting off with the display base first. It's a reused base mold. They're using this one a lot recently, actually. It works fine for Palpatine. It's kind of generic Star Wars-y though. It screams Bespin to me versus Coruscant or Palpatine's office or the Senate room. It's definitely not one of the Senate chairs. I think they missed a trick. If instead of going with this base mold, they'd have given us a Senate chair as Palpatine's diorama base, then we could have had Yoda versus Palpatine, have it look accurate in 1/6 scale. Even give that to us as a deluxe upgrade option with this being the standard base. They chose not to do that. Maybe one day we'll get a Senate chair in 1/6 scale. At least it's well painted. There's a copper-colored dry brush all the way round. We've got this orange insert behind the peel-shaped cutouts. and a different textured cardboard print. It's a decal of sorts up top. You can see the rough texture for the ribbing and around the edge there. For the nameplate, Star Wars and Darth Sidious, then up top, a height-adjustable, wide-scoop crotch grabber. For those of you who spotted the special edition sticker on the box, you were thinking, ooh, I wonder what the special edition bonus accessory is. Is it some bespoke hand sculpts, or some lightning effects, or a new head sculpt? No. This, the coin. And they don't even give us a stand. They've been doing these coins with Star Wars figures recently. I think they've stopped now, thank goodness, because without a stand, there's no real way to even display this. Like, what am I supposed to do? And just chuck it on the base? I've been popping these back in the boxes. If you've figured out a way to make these look good in the collection, please let me know how you've done that down in the comments. Depending on where you order Palps from, I think Sideshow is giving out gold or silver coins. Hong Kong, you get the red ones. These are my favorite accessories of the lot, hands down. I'm so sorry, that was terrible. Translucent lightning, and I dig how the fingers, they're a little bit translucent for the tips of them, so it looks like lightning is actually coming out of his fingers. The skin texture, the vein work, the shading, the wrinkling, these are reused from Clone Wars Palps, but no complaints from me, they're brilliant. Sidious's lightsaber hilt has always looked almost regal, for lack of a better way to describe it, with the metallic gold and silver, all of this extra detail work up top with the rings and the ribbing and whatnot, as well as the contrast with that frosted, almost matte feeling gunmetal, and the pops of green and red for the buttons. The blade is translucent plastic. It tapers down to a point, which it really shouldn't. Hot Toys, you need to go do some research, because lightsaber blades, they're an equal length all the way down to the tip, where they're rounded at the end. These pointy ones, they're not doing it for me anymore. And the color. They've been desaturating their lightsaber blades quite consistently, and this new Darth Sidious one is no exception. Ah yes, the infamous swooshing blade effect. It's very pale. It looks more pink than red, and it's still inaccurate. It's an equal triangular fan all the way down, where I would prefer it to look like this. As though the darker shaded edge is the leading edge of the swoosh, and there's an arced trail behind it. Some people have said that I'm wrong for wanting that. Others agree with me, so I guess the jury's out. If only they'd make a corrected version, they'll more than make their money back on the mold, because they'll be able to include the fixed one with every Star Wars lightsaber-wielding character going forward. Who knows, maybe one day. The light-up version of the hilt is compatible with both the swooshing effect blade and the standard one, just plugs in like the other hilt. There's a cable sticking out of this one though, because you can connect it to the junction box, then a USB-C power supply. They don't include a USB-C cable or a power supply. It's BYO for both of those things. This clamp will allow you to attach this to the crotch grabber arm, but you can switch it out for a more traditional hook clamp. I'm not sure where you'd pop this on his outfit, because he doesn't have a traditional belt. I guess we'll have to find out a little bit later. And lastly, a full array of hands. I've been dying to talk about these because the gestures, the detail, the way they've been painted, they're just perfect. There's almost nothing to complain about with these hands. I would have liked more of them, that's pretty much it. The nails, how they stick out off the edges of the fingers, and the way they've been painted to make it look like there's dirt underneath them, that's disgusting. The wrinkling right there, how wonky his fingers are, they're all deformed. The vein work, the red shading on the inside of his palms. Like I said, these hands, kind of perfect. And it's the array of gestures too. There's a subtle difference between these two hands. The pinky is curled in more, but it does make a difference. And the thumb is sticking out on this one. Prying the fingers open to pop the lightsaber hilt in this hand. It's a thicker PVC plastic, but it's flexible enough. It shouldn't fight you when you're trying to get that done. I think I've got to display him with this one on the left side because of the way they've posed the figures. Then on the right side, we've got a gripping hand. It's not just a generic gripping hand though. The pinky is sticking out, the pointer finger is out as well, and the thumb is curled up. So this is more of a normal gripping hand for the right side. Again, fingers are soft enough, you can pry him open. What we're going to do now is get Darth Sidious himself out here. Standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. I've just popped the hood on just to complete the look. Everything else is stock as he comes out of the box. This figure is impressive, most impressive, but he ain't perfect. Couple of hang-ups that we need to discuss off the turntable, and we will, but nothing figure-breaking. I don't think there's any one thing that's going to stop you from getting this, other than the fact that there is another Darth Sidious coming, and he's packaged with 2 head sculpts. If you are still on the fence and you're trying to pick between them, hopefully this video is going to help. With the hood on, he has so much presence. The outfit looks accurate, it's well tailored, and there's wires in all the right places. Once we pop on the lightning effect hands or give him his lightsaber, I reckon he's going to look even better. Up close and personal, kicking things off with Darth Sidious's head sculpt. I don't like the way he's looking at me right now with that smirk and the beady eyes peering out from the shadows underneath the hood. But in all seriousness, this is how you do Darth Sidious justice. It's a sinister looking head sculpt, and that is what I was after. It's not perfect. We've got some things to discuss, but for the most part, when you get the hood situated correctly, which is easy to do this time, the wires are nice and strong, and it's stitched in place at the back, this head sculpt comes to life. When you remove the hood, it doesn't look as strong. I think I might prefer the Clone Wars head sculpt over this one without the hood on, but as I've been saying, the hood makes a big difference, so if you're grabbing this piece, just know that he definitely looks better with the hood on. The sculpt itself, a lot of skin texture. There's also wrinkling, and there's some vein work, baggy looking flesh, the bumps up top for the forehead, feathered edge for the hairline, and some darker red shading on his ears, around his lips, and underneath his eyes. The red shading offsets that vibrant yellow for his irises, and it all just works together beautifully. The teeth are separate inset dentures inside the mouth, so you can see a shadow being cast on them from the lips. That just adds to realism. So I alluded to some complaints. This is one of them. Of course it is. Look at it. It's hideous. It's the same style of seam that they went with for Clone Wars Darth Sidious. I didn't like it there, and I sure as shit don't like it now. It makes moving the eyes around pretty easy. You don't have to take off the head sculpt. I would have preferred having to remove the head because there wouldn't have been a seam, and you wouldn't have seen the cut underneath the head anyway because the collar for his outfit sits up very high underneath his chin. When you remove this back hairpiece held in place with magnets, heaps of access inside the sculpt to move the eyes around, and I'm willing to bet that with some side eye, this head sculpt is going to look even better. We'll reassemble everything, pop the hood back on, and discuss. Oh yeah, hands down, side eye with the hood, and you can shape it so that it's off to one side thanks to the wires exposing his eyes. As light hits them, this head sculpt looks like $1,000,000. Right you are, eyes straightforward again. I thought we'd do some comparisons next to the other Palpatine sculpts. Clone Wars on the right, then the new Darth Sidious on the left. Pre-scarring and post-scarring. Next to Episode 6, I much prefer the exaggerated expression on the right versus the Return of the Jedi one. I am curious to hear your thoughts. Which Palpatine head sculpt do you prefer? For those wondering about head swaps, there's always some of you. Yes, the Clone Wars sculpt is compatible with this body. The Episode 6 head won't be unless you do some mods and remove this bottom piece. Then the new head sculpt is backwards compatible with the Clone Wars body, pops right on the ball joint for the neck connector. It's a tight fit, but once you push it all the way down, it locks in place very securely. Okay, back to stock. Let's move on from the head sculpt and discuss the outfit. You already know that the hood is wired, but this furry felt black shawl is also wired along the edge. They've pinched it in so it sits correctly. I'm just going to leave it like that because I don't want to be messing around with it. And we've got the brooch or buckle up front, painted in metallic gold. It's quite shiny. There's a sheen to the pile, the textured fabric for this black piece, so it does add some visual interest to the front of Palpatine's outfit. We've got more of that felt-like fabric on the inside of the hood, making up a secondary collar. Then the main collar that's part of this almost decorative, lacy dress that is accurate, although you don't see much of it in the movie when Palpatine's wearing this. You get glimpses of it. It's more visible in the photo shoot pics. Ian McDiarmid in costume when he was wearing this outfit. You can see it in those pictures. The sleeves are quite big and boofy and baggy. They've been stitched with the pleats at the bottom, then they terminate in more of that felt material. The undersleeves for the dress thing, you can extend them down to cover up the wrist pegs. Not that they should expose themselves anyway, because you can just pull the outer robe sleeves down to cover them up. There's wires along the bottom edge for this robe, not down the front. I don't think there needs to be wires down the front because the bottom ones allow you to do pretty much anything you want with this. The color at first I thought was maybe too saturated, because in the movie, depending on the lighting, it came across grey and black versus this warm tone brownish grey against the black. I've checked reference pics again. When he's fighting Yoda in his office, there's more saturation to it, so it's just going to be down to personal preference. I've come around to this look. I think it's a nice middle ground between the Episode 6 robe and the one that the Clone Wars figure is wearing. That's significantly more saturated than this. So far, it's been smooth sailing. Yeah, full fabric outfit. The robes are textured. I don't mind the color. They're wired at the bottom. Then we've got this dress thing on the inside. Oh, and the robes are lined as well. Black trousers underneath the dress. But the boots, there had to be one thing, one fly in the ointment. It's these. They are leather. These little cowboy boots. There's no reason, because you don't see much of them underneath the outfit, why they couldn't have gone sculpted. There's a leather grain texture, they're well stitched, and they give you a little bit of range, but not much because there's padding on the inside of them. I would have preferred sculpted plastic boots, and if they were going that route, either soft plastic or a split cut design. There's no tread on the underside, for those wondering. So remember back in the accessory segment, where I said we'd find out what this clip is for? It's for nothing. I checked the instructions. There's no mention of it. He doesn't have a belt on. There's no fabric strap for you to hook this on underneath his robes. Then you could thread the wire through the outfit. It's meant to hook onto the crotch grabber arm. This clip is just included because they always include it. If you're curious about having the lightsaber hilt inside the sleeve, there is enough of a gap for you to slot that in there. I don't think it's meant to be doable, but you can if you want to. Turning on the lights. We will dim the studio lights and give this a fair shake, but just flicking the switch on my power supply. You ready? 1, 2. That's what it looks like. It's mediocre at best with studio lights turned on, and let's be honest, how many of y'all are displaying these figures in complete darkness? Pretty much no one, right? Because all you would see is a mid lightsaber in darkness and not Palpatine at all. You're likely going to have the cabinet lights on, and then the lightsaber simply won't look good. And it's base lit. There's a red LED inside the hilt that's meant to shine through the blade. It simply doesn't do its job very well. Studio lights off. I feel like we're giving it the best chance possible in complete darkness. Still doesn't look good. You know what does look good? Ironworks custom sabers. I've popped a link to their Insta in the description. You're going to want to check them out because this is their Palpatine lightsaber. It comes across more orange than red on camera. In person, it is a beautiful, fiery, vibrant red. And you can see how much light is being emitted from this lightsaber. It's illuminating all of Palpatine, and that is what you want out of a 1/6 scale lightsaber. The blade, equal length all the way down to the tip. It's rounded at the end. This is the way Hot Toys should be doing it. This is not a sponsored segment, by the way. I just love Ironworks products. I've picked up a few sabers recently, and then I've picked up some more. This being one of them, the hilt. The design on this thing is almost as good as the Hot Toys one. The shiny metallic silver with the gold and the washers, the red and green buttons. Ironworks, they're working on a shorter version of this hilt if you find this one is too long. I don't mind the added length because now I can get Palps holding on to this with two hands, no problem. Single braided USB-A cable coming out the side of it. No junction box, just plug it straight into your power supply. Even with the blade turned off, it looks better than the Hot Toys one. This thick, properly scaled blade, a vibrant red, not translucent plastic. So if you want to pick up an Ironworks saber and you every now and then display it without the LED strip inside turned on, I think you could get away with that. Let me quickly show you a couple more. The Obi-Wan Episode 3 lightsaber hilt. Got the copper and the gold, the shiny metallics, the sculpted detail on the activation switch, thick blue blade, and when you turn it on, it fades on. It's not just a switch and it turns on, it comes to life slowly, and that just adds to the experience. The other one I grabbed is Mace Windu's lightsaber. This has always been one of my favorites, how it tapers down at the end, and of course the purple blade. This one's a little bit tricky to show on camera because it's so bright, flicking the switch. As you can see, that is a real 1/6 scale lightsaber right there. I've popped the links to Ironworks Insta in the description. If you'd like to grab yourself some custom sabers, I recommend you do because these blow the Hot Toys ones out of the water. For a quick side-by-side comparison, Episode 3 on the left, Clone Wars on the right, so many differences. The head sculpts, the hands, and the outfit. So they're not the same. If you're trying to pick between them, hopefully this is going to help you. Darker robes on the left, no pinstriping, and we've got the black accent pieces like the shawl and the cuffs for his sleeves versus the navy blue on the right. If I only had room in my collection for one Darth Sidious, it's got to be the figure on the left. Episode 3 means more to me than Clone Wars, so that's the one I'd be going with. I don't think it's much of a contest between these two. I reckon you need to have them both if you've got an original trilogy and prequel collection. Because you can't use Episode 6 Palps with the prequel figures, nor vice versa. I like them both, and I'm going to keep them both. The all-black look on the right with the cane and the Force Lightning hand I borrowed from the Clone Wars one. Then the brighter coloured outfit on the left with the exaggerated smirk and the moving eyes with that vibrant Sith effect to them. Artisan, Darth Vader, Sith Apprentice, the hair is getting bigger on mine somehow. I need to figure out how to tame it because I don't want him to have this 80s style boofy hair look. When I reviewed him, it wasn't as bad. Over time, it seems to be getting worse. Anakin is taller than Palptaine. Hayden Christensen is taller than Ian McDiarmid. The scaling looks about right to me. I'm shocked that with all of this Episode 3 stuff that's coming out, they've not yet announced an Episode 3 Yoda. I'm sure he's on the horizon. If you've got the only Hot Toys prequel Yoda that currently exists, the Episode 2 one, this is what he looks like standing next to Palps. Going over the Senate's articulation, starting off with his head sculpt, it's a single-piece head and neck combo with a ball joint at the base of it. Let's just ditch the hood, it'll make my life a hell of a lot easier when we're moving stuff around. Ball joint at the bottom, like I said, looking forward to there. Surprisingly, more range than I was expecting. Usually with this style of a head and neck combo, it's quite limited. Looking all the way up, once again, plenty of range. Swivel, but pivot side to side is limited. Arms will go up to there at the shoulders as this front bit splits open to accommodate that range. Going forward and back on soft ratchets, yep. Butterfly joint at the shoulder that hinges up and down. Swivel at the bicep, double bend at the elbow going past 90, and there's an inner sleeve as well as an outer one. There's heaps of excess fabric. You're never going to see the wrist peg when you've got the elbow at a max bend. Speaking of the wrist peg, it's a hinge and swivel on ratchets. Torso crunching forward, it's padded a lot. Considering the robe does all of the heavy lifting for his proportions, that padding doesn't need to be there. You could take it off and you'd get more range. Going back to there, swivel and some pivot side to side, but not much. Legs going forward to there. Something is restricting range. It's probably all of this padding on the legs, if I had to guess. Going out to there, swivel at the upper thigh. Lifting up these layers, double bend at the knee, going past 90 on soft ratchets. Then for the ankles, on the inside of his pleather boots, double ball pegs, good for forward and back rotation, as well as some ankle tilt. Moving on to the 3 cool and 3 annoying things. The first annoying thing is Darth Sidious's outfit is all fabric, it's all durable, except for the boots. They've still managed to find a way to sneak in some pleather. There is no reason why these boots couldn't have been sculpted plastic. The second annoying thing is, why is the special edition bonus accessory a coin? They don't even give you a stand to display this. I would have preferred some rubble, like some diorama pieces, even a die-cast version of Palpataine's lightsaber hilt in 1/6 scale would have been nice. Instead, they give us a coin. The third annoying thing, don't get me wrong, this is not a bad base mold. Just feels like a bad base mold choice for this version of Darth Sidious. Doesn't remind me of any of the scenes where we see Palpatine wearing the outfit that the figure is wearing. Doesn't scream Coruscant or his office or the Senate chambers. It doesn't even look like one of the Senate seats. The first cool thing is the hood is actually great for once. Normally I'm fighting with hoods and they look terrible. This one is slightly pointy at the top, but that's because of the head sculpt, not the fabric for the hood. Like, I'm pushing on it, that is his head sculpt right underneath the fabric. It's because they've stitched it at the back and the wire is pretty strong. You can work with this and get it to look good, no problem. The second cool thing, the effect hands as well as the normal hands. The detail is off the charts good. These have to be some of the most detailed, well sculpted and painted hands I've ever seen from them. The third cool thing, there's a lot of outfit to contend with this version of Palpatine. Luckily, there's wires in pretty much all the right spots. Around the base, then around the bottom of this black felt bit up top, and around the front of the hood. Wrapping up on Hot Toys, Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, Darth Sidious. I remember when this figure was announced, it wasn't that long ago, people were so hyped, because this was meant to be the ultimate 1/6 scale Darth Sidious for prequel fans. But then, they announced the new one. 2 head sculpts, interchangeable outfit options, that seemingly one-ups this release. Now that I have it in hand, do I still feel that way? A little bit yes, and a little bit no. This head sculpt, so much personality. It oozes personality. It's extremely expressive. And we've got the moving Sith eyes. When you pop the hood on, it looks even better. The lightning effect hands, the light up lightsaber, I don't love the effect, but the idea is there. If you replace it with a custom one, that will be a massive upgrade for this. At the end of the video, I'm not disappointed I got this, but I am curious to get the new one and compare it to this figure, because it has the possibility of dethroning this as the best 1/6 scale prequel era Darth Sidious. For now, because this is the only properly scarred, deformed Darth Sidious that's been released, it takes that title by default. But how long he holds onto that crown, we'll have to wait and see. Now, I got mine at a discount from Pop Collectibles. I've popped a link to their site in the description, along with the discount code Justin's Collection, for 5% off your order if you decide to buy from them. As always, do your own research, make sure you're comfortable before buying. If you're heading down to the description, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button if you like the sound of seeing your name in the end credits of my reviews. Like, comment, and subscribe. We'll catch you in the next video.